Coach, we're in beautiful Oklahoma. Have you played here before?
I have.
What's it like? So this is my first time being here. It feels like you're in a football movie as soon as you land in Oklahoma. Then you get in the stadium. Such historic and traditional, like color, view. And as we're walking through the campus, it's like the stadium is literally circled by the rest of the campus. Real football town, it feels like out here.
No, it is, and it's a beautiful campus, great stadium. When I played here, it was back in the 70s.
Oh, so you haven't been here since
Oh,
then?
yeah. No, well, I came here to work out players when I was in the NFL, but I'm saying to play a game.
Okay.
And they were running a wishbone, and the crown on the field was so steep, when you were standing on the sidelines, you could only barely see the head of the people on the other sidelines. And they had Thomas Lott playing quarterback. Overstreet was one of the backs, and I was coaching the secondary at West Virginia, your West Virginia team.
Come on.
So I got Jerry Holmes playing free safety, and Cedric King's a strong safety, and we're trying to feather the quarterback on the loaded option. And I say, Cedric, you got to take the pitch from the running lane to the quarterback. And he tells me on the headset, Coach, they got more men's out here than we got.
They're a little bigger, a little stronger, a little faster, and also I can't see over.
Yeah, the wagon was rolling that day. The wagon was rolling.
How do you feel about it tomorrow? So obviously what Coach Heupel's doing is massive. And the Coach Heupel story is a big one leading into this. For Oklahoma's first SEC matchup, they're taking on Oklahoma Sooner legend, who in 2014 leaves here, gets fired from here, and they're saying there's a little extra juice in Heupel's mindset. Does that play into the factor of the game at all, you think, or no?
Well, I'm sure that, I've been in situations where I've been fired before and went back and played in those situations, or left and had to go back in those situations. I think to you, maybe personally, there's something there. But the number one thing you want to do for your team is not let that impact your team. You want your team to stay focused on what they need to do to play well in the game and not worry about those kind of external factors in terms of their emotions.
Venables is known for like an insane defense. Nico Iamaleava in this, you see that? First week I didn't get it.
You
Remember
got
that?
it, good.
Second week I asked for help from Reese.
Yeah.
Now we're week 4. Iamaleava is a dog. It is a much smoother. Do you
And
think,
you're proud of it.
Very much so, Coach. Everybody calls me a journalistic stooge. Is that what it is, boys? Is
Yeah,
that what they
that
say?
is correct. I think that's it, yeah.
Dumbass. I
Some
think they
bad
say so.
words, too, in there. That if we're not saying C and B, we shouldn't. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. So anytime I do Iamaleava, I feel like journalistic standards very high. I'm proud of it. Do you think this Venables defense against this particular offense, good spot? And what does Oklahoma need to do tomorrow to kind of, I don't want to say win, but, like what would be?
Yeah, well, I think Oklahoma has a really good defense. I think, Brent Venables has a very good defensive scheme. But I also think that the style of play that Tennessee has, it takes a little different type of approach, because you're not going to be able to play your normal pace of play because they're going to go fast. You're going to have to make quick decisions. Your players are going to have to get lined up quick, and then they're going to try to slow you down, clap, don't snap the ball, see what you're in, take advantage of what you're in. So now you need to be able to kill some things on defense to change your defense so they don't always know exactly what you're in. You got to be prepared not to be able to put a sub package in on third down because they may go fast on third down. I remember when we played up there a couple years ago, man, we did all this stuff on third down, changing personnel. They never let us sub at all in the game. We went through the whole first half. The only time we tried to sub, we had too many guys on the field. So now you got to play everything in nickel, which is how you play first and second down against them. So they create a lot of issues. But I would assume that Brent has spent a lot of time before this game week trying to prepare for this kind of offense.
Okay, so I have a question about this kind of offense because Holstein and Cade Bell over at the University of Pittsburgh have given them an offense that they haven't had in a long, long time in Pittsburgh. And then you think about Heupel here, and there's other offenses that run like it. How come everybody doesn't run this offense? And is it capable of winning the big one, this style of offense?
Well, I still think you got to play good defense to go with it. To win the big one, you have to have a complete team. But I do think you can with this style of offense. I think you can score enough points, but you got to have a good defense. But when you play this way, you also put a lot of pressure on your defense because your defense is going to play more plays because you're not shrinking the game at all. You're going fast. You may go 8-play drive and only take a minute and a half off the clock. Well, you could go an 8-play drive and running the ball and take 7 minutes off the clock. Yeah. So that's just less time your defense has to play. When we went to the no-huddle fastball stuff, probably 8-10 years ago, our defense played like 12, 14 more plays a game because we were going fast. And even though we were just as good on defense, we didn't have as good as stats. And the other team scored more points because they had more opportunities.
So you're basically just saying that comes with it. When did it start?
That comes with it. You got to accept that.
Was it Chip Kelly?
Kelly.
Chip Kelly was the one, because I was just about to think, you talk about time of possession. The Jets had the ball for 40 minutes last night. Patriots had it for 20 minutes. That's a great indicator of who dominated the game.
Right.
And I've always thought that you have to have that capability to be able to win the big one. Now, you can win a lot of games, but whenever it gets close, you're going to have balance. You're going to have to be able to run the ball. You're going to have to be able to slow everything down because the other side could potentially catch fire. Chip Kelly was the one that really brought this entire initiative into college ball.
Yeah.
And do you see it transitioning now? NFL, it's transitioning, I think. Boys, am I accurately describing that? The NFL is starting to get back to like a...
Feels like it right now.
Ground the rock.
Right.
Right now, it feels like that. Do you think that happens with college? Or
I think it is happening in college, and I'll tell you why. I think that we all got like smaller, faster, more athletic to play against the spread.
Yep.
Like we
Side on
had
side.
Orlando McClain and Hightower, 6'4", 245 inside back.
Smashing
Dogs.
All right,
Everybody.
smash mouth. You try to run the ball, Pepper Johnson, you try to run the ball, he's flat-heading you. All right, so, but these guys
Yes.
couldn't play in space like some 6'2", 230-pound guy who could run 4'6". And so we all got accustomed to playing the spread and had to change the kind of personnel that we played with. So now when you go back and get in two tights and two wides, 12 personnel, whatever you want to call it, and start smashing the ball, these guys aren't good at that. They can't take on the guards. All right, so now you're creating seams in the defense and block protection issues for smaller players. So I do see that, and I thought Georgia a few years ago, like when they beat us in the national championship game in Indy, we were ahead 18-13 with 10 minutes to go in the game. They got in high yucca wad ball and just ran the ball down our throat, and we couldn't stop them, and they scored twice in the last 10 minutes. So
wide ball?
wad ball.
Wide,
Yeah, that's what I
wide,
call it. Wad.
wide, wide.
Everybody's in here tight, but they're big folks pushing little folks around.
Wide. Whenever this whole spread offense started taking over, we as football stooges, our show, was live, and they were changing rules to make it happen. We're like, oh, this is what football is going to be forever. And all the old football heads said football is cyclical, has been since the beginning of time. That's an accurate sentiment. I think we're kind of watching it unfold right now. Definitely in the NFL. I don't know about college, but it is like a very cyclical sport, is it not?
No, it is. I see more people getting in closed formation
Wide.
and running the ball and doing it more effectively because people have changed their style of play on defense to play against spread out teams, which is a little bit different.
And then inevitably, everybody's going to adjust to this, and then somebody's going to come along, maybe a Dutch Danger,
Sure.
and say, I got this speed offense now we're going to run, and then it's
Yeah.
going to transition back. I think that's kind of what football is. We're in a great spot. AJ has a question for you, Coach.
Coach, I know playing football is a very emotional game. You want your players to have emotion and fire, but what about your coaching staff? I always wondered about that, especially the offensive play caller. Can he let emotion creep in at all when he's calling a game?
I've always questioned this whole emotion thing. You want your players to play with emotion, but you don't want them to be emotional. And, that's kind of a fine line because the emotion allows you to maintain the kind of intensity and focus you need to be able to execute and do your job. And I think you have to have some coaches on your staff that are these energetic type guys that are going to maintain that level of intensity or emotion on the team. But then you also have to have a couple guys that are a little more cerebral in their approach, that are really kind of thinking ahead and making sure they're playing the right things in the right situations so you can take advantage of, maybe the defense and what they're playing or the situation in the game, whether it's red zone, third down, 4-minute, 2-minute, whatever it might be. So I think you need a combination of both. I never wanted a coaching staff that had all the same kind of personalities. I wanted different kind of personalities that could impact and affect different types of people.
How about whenever you would throw your headsets? Those were awesome days.
Yeah.
Didn't we? We love those.
Oh, yeah.
anytime
Hey,
it
Muschamp,
happens.
you
And I
kidding
love-
me?
You open that thing. This one right here is one of my favorites too. When you grabbed it, and, that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, but it was an issue when, you're raising your children and you were telling them, one time my son Nicholas got a technical foul in a basketball game, and I had to be there, so I go home and I give him this long speech about maintaining your poise. And he sat there and listened like a trooper for like 10 minutes. And this was my best speech ever about maintaining poise.
You nailed it.
And he looked at me and said, "And how many headsets did you bust this year?"
And then walk away.
Yeah. So I mean, it was not something that was good for parenting.
Yeah, easier said than done, but that emotion is literally what people want to see because it means that you care. Tone Diggs has a question for you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, I want to talk about the game that you're at, Tennessee and Oklahoma, and it's Nico's first big game on the road in front of a large crowd. In a situation like that, do you talk to the quarterback in that situation, just like you're talking about with emotion and emotional, to kind of see if he's in the right place, or how do you handle that situation for a young quarterback?
Well, I think the most important thing with the young quarterback is make sure you've put him in a situation in practice where he's had to deal with the noise, explain to him exactly what he's getting into, and if he makes a few mistakes early in the game, don't let it affect you because you don't want it to affect him. And I think that these teams that go fast, I think they're not really counting on the cadence, that much early on. So I do think it's a little easier for a quarterback to transition to noise when you're trying to do fastball. So maybe that's what they have Nico prepared for in this game.
He can spin it. Heupel feels like he's got them all rolling in the right direction, but I think this place is going to be a difference maker. I do. It is. It's vast, Feels like it goes out a little bit more like this.
Right.
I heard there were some SEC people talking shit, though, about like, where's the rest of your stadium?
Oh!
They're saying. That's what people on the internet. I'm not saying that.
I mean,
I'm just saying people have said that.
After
Every
A&M
stadium-
looking at it, I mean, you can see
exactly.
why they
A&M.
think that.
And then how about Alabama? I assume Alabama at one point didn't have that one end that just seemingly got built, and it's just like a
Right.
wall of.
Yeah, we built that in like 2008 or 9 to go to over 100,000. Yeah.
So many people, over 100,000. But it's like, how many people are here, Tone? Do we know what?
I think it was like 85. I think when I looked it up yesterday.
That's so many people. They have a chance to add another 50,000 if they want. Seemingly, that entire end over there, if they were to build up around it. Place is beautiful. Loves ball. I think it's going to be hot here tomorrow.
Yeah, but this is a nice stadium. I mean, it's a nice stadium. It's a tough place to play. So I'm sure it'll be challenging for Tennessee, especially Nico and the quarterback on offense, not to have a bunch of penalties and put themselves behind the 8 ball. The most important thing on offense, especially when you go fast, is you don't get in negative yardage situations. The other team doesn't give you negative yardage situations because then it's not an advantage for you to go fast. You need to sit back and say, okay, now what do we want to do on 2nd and 15 instead of 2nd and 5? 2nd and 5, it's easy to go fast. 2nd and 15, we need to get half of this back so we got a manageable 3rd down. So, and that's the thing that I think Oklahoma will do in this game, talking about this game, is they have a really good defense. They're very athletic. They can run on defense, and they have a good system and scheme to create negative plays for the offense, which if they can implement that against this fastball, that's going to be a real positive for them.
First play of the drive, so vital for the people that are running a fast offense on that side. Let's go back to the environment, what Nico's going to have to handle. Is there any stadiums, what stadium comes to mind whenever you have thought to yourself, wow, this is a wild environment right now? And did you ever do that while you were coaching games?
Yeah, absolutely.
Looked around. What the hell?
I mean, we're at LSU and we go right down the field when Tua's playing, and we get down on the 20-yard line where the student section is. We got 4 straight false starts, and I'm like, and the players are all going, shaking their heads like, I can't hear. So forces you to go on silent, which is a huge disadvantage because, the defensive line can watch the ball. The offensive line has to watch the ball, so you have no advantage in cadence. And it's you're sitting there saying, hey, this is tough. I mean, when we played at Tennessee a couple years ago and got beat up there, that was about as wild a situation as you're ever going to get in. But the only place you play in the SEC that's not hard to play is Vanderbilt. Because when you play at Vanderbilt, you have more fans there than they have. And that's no disrespect to them. It's just the truth.
Hey,
when we played in Nashville, we had more fans, Alabama fans, than what they had Vanderbilt fans.
Yeah, Nashville's a great city to go visit, too. You know, it's like the Vegas of the Midwest. So if there's an away game, it's certainly a good place to kind of go take a weekend trip to. We'll go watch Alabama do their thing to a football team. We'll get great seats because there's going to be a lot available. And then we'll do Nashville, too. What a win. I didn't even think about that. Vandy's working against a couple different things there. One of them is interest in their football team. But it's coming back.
Yeah.
It's coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but all these academic schools, you know, if they make a decision to create an academic circumstance where you let players in and they have a chance to succeed academically, you can elevate the program. Stanford did it for a while. Georgia Tech's doing it right now. So Vandy can do it.
West Virginia did it for a while.
I can't even comment on that.
High academia. High academia. West Virginia. That's kind of been, you know, a part of a conversation about me asking, hey, why isn't West Virginia in the Big Ten? People immediately go, academics a little bit different. You know, academics a little bit different. Then why isn't the West Virginia in the SEC? Academics a little bit different. Why isn't West Virginia in the ACC? Academics. That's a little bit different. I will have you know, we got Rhodes Scholars at West Virginia now. That is what I'm being told. West Virginia's academia skyrocketed over the last 6 months because of the way you've been talking about them. Now the football team needs a win. You know, we need that to happen.
Yeah,
but
we need that to happen.
They will.
And look, I've picked them every week. I'm a little, you know, upset with the way they lost the game last week.
Me too.
Up by 10 with, 5 minutes to go in the game?
I think even lower than that, 4 or 3 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something. What's that face? Coach, we got Big 12. Still, we got to go get to Big 12.
It's all out in
So
front
you
of
still you haven't lost hope. I'm happy to see that.
Well, I'm happy
You're
to
like
see
all the other fans. They haven't lost hope.
All right. Okay.
Should
There's
he
a
have
lot of
lost
people that
hope?
have lost hope.
Should he lose?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have.
Should.
Yeah, it's getting loud over there. Seat's getting a little hot. I think